So Robert, thanks for a good presentation, cool one. You have now talked about all the boring stuff like pizza, beer, things that we don't like. So now we move into OpenStack, which is much cooler, right? My name is Tobias. I'm working here at City Network as a developer. Most of the time doing development stuff, but not as much as I hope to do. But yeah, mostly development stuff, and focus on developing our CMS or cloud management system that we have. That maybe some of you have been using. Lately, I've also got the opportunity to co-share in the public cloud working group inside the OpenStack community, raising the voice for public cloud features or missing features and stuff like that inside the community, so that we can get that attention to that as well. Been working at City Network for about 3 years. Like beer. So OpenStack, how many of you knows what OpenStack is? 60-70%. How many of you work with OpenStack on a weekly basis? A few, so means I can't lie too much here. So OpenStack, you can say that basically it's like an operating system for a cloud, or cloud software, so to say. It's also an open source project that today is around, I think it's more than 20 million lines of Python code actually, and something around 40,000 active users inside the community. Started off in 2010, I think it was, initiative between Rackspace and NASA, and handed over in 2012 to the community to the community that is, the OpenStack Foundation that is managing OpenStack today. This is basically how a general implementation of OpenStack looks like. It's microservice design, or you have these different components that come together and forming the cloud. So you have Keystone doing the authentication stuff, you have Neutron helping you out with the networking, and Nova doing your computing for you. And at City Network we don't have the horizon. We have implemented our own dashboard, and it shows that option. So, how can you get going with OpenStack? Is it a hard thing? I don't think it is. One thing that is extremely good with OpenStack is it's fully API based. So everything that you do with between the components or to any component, you do with some kind of API call. So completely, fully API supported. Nowadays you have a lot of good documentation as well. When we started out in 3 years, 4 years, the documentation was not that good, so you had to read the source code to figure out how to do your calls, but that's not the case today. I think there are actually a lot of good stuff at the URLs that you see here to get going with OpenStack. And yeah, what else is good with open APIs? It's key to do any kind of DevOps today. It's key for automation, it's key for interoperability, those kind of stuff, flexibility. You can choose to do whatever you like with your cloud services to any applications that you have or management system that you are running at your organization. So that was all the bullshitting around this, so now into the examples. We start with this first example, that is, do you see anything at all? Okay, then I can say basically anything. it was really messy. Okay, this is a simple PHP example that we are just authenticating to Keystone, you getting the token from that authentication call and using that to do stuff to our cloud. It's creating a server, for example. So it is running. Okay. So we will get the token, see what endpoints that we are have support for in this cloud, and then we will pull out some data from there. We have the endpoints, so we now know where to do our calls to Nova and Neutron, for example. So to be able to create a server here, we need to get some data from the cloud. We need to know which networks do we have available, images, and those kind of stuff. So we specify an image, a network, and we set a name for the server, basically. So we are using Glance for the images, we are using Neutron, we're using Nova here to create a server. And since I have met the demo devil too many times, I have pre-recorded it, so I'm sure it will work this time. So yeah, simple PHP code, just a few lines of code, and you have a server in a cloud somewhere running. This was in Tokyo, by the way. Moving on to the most common way of interacting with the cloud as an OpenStack administrator is using one of the clients that comes with each project, or you can install from each project. You have the Keystone client, which nowadays is deprecated, by the way, so it's a bad example. But we have a Neutron client and Nova client, for example, that you can do whatever you can do through that client. So you create servers and those kind of stuff. To be able to use that one, the clients, you will have to authenticate in some way. So you do that through simply exporting some variables into your environment. And then, for example, if you're using Nova will authenticate for you using these variables to Keystone and do that job for you. So you don't have to get out and get your token yourself. So Nova does that for you. And this can look a little bit different depending on what version of the clients you are using, what version of OpenStack that are used in the cloud on the opposite side that you are trying to consume some services from. So, example of that. So in this example, we will try to create a floating IP and assign that to a server that we just created. So to be able to do that, we need to know the public network that we can pull a public IP from. The servers inside of OpenStack, the most implementations at least, have only local IPs at the local subnets. So we create a public IP at the public network, and to be able to assign that to a server, we need to know which port at the subnet that this IP is located at. So we do a port list, we find out the ID here that we think it is in this case, and we can see that we have device owner Nova. So it looks like, okay, this is a server. So we take that one, we use the inline documentation here with a simple help command for Neutron and see which parameters that floating IP associate needs to be able to connect it to the server. So pretty simple, maybe not extremely straightforward. It should be a little bit easier, I think, but this is the way that Neutron is working, but it's fairly simple. And hopefully we will also see that this is working. Has anybody of you used these kind of clients? Lasse has. Yeah, a few more. Thomas, have you used them? No. Yeah.
One called just OpenStack now that.
You have to wait a little bit. spoiled it. So we got connection here. So exactly what you were talking about here. A little more simple. We have the OpenStack client. That is basically the same. It's a client, a command line client that you are using, but it combines all the calls that you do inside the specific ones, or the most common ones, I will say. It doesn't have support for all commands that you can do, but the most common operations that you will like to do with the cloud. So the focus when creating the OpenStack client, I don't know exactly how new it is, but it's a few years back when they created it. It was simplicity and to get a more common language when you consume services. So, for example, if you're using Nova, you tell Nova to boot an instance, but you tell Newton to create an IP. So it's two different words for the same thing. Starting to get a little bit dry here. Cheers. That was one of the reasons to do it much more in a simpler way and a more unified language, so to say. The OpenStack clients also uses something called the OS client config, or the clouds.yaml, which I think is a really good thing, and it's very good for interoperability and those kind of stuff, and to prevent vendor lock-in. It's basically a config file that you put in these locations that you see on the screen, or any of them, that you can specify with all your clouds that you are using. So you can use city cloud, any city cloud. You can use your private clouds that you have in your basement, or you can use any other public clouds that you will like to consume resources from. And that is simply specified at command line in this case. So I just specify city cloud, for example, and in this case I will have to specify Cloudbear cloud to put to decide where to put your resource. So let's get into that example. So in this example we will do basically the same thing as we did in the previous example, but here we are using the OpenStack client. So as I said, we specify which cloud we would like to consume resources from, and here you have the thing of the more simple language, so to say. It's more human language. You create something. You don't boot or associate, or you just create. So we know the network name now, XNet. So we create a public IP from that, and we list the servers that we have available. And this is where the simple stuff. You see what I'm writing? You just specify the IP that you want to associate the server with. So you specify the server name or ID and the IP that you want to connect to the server, which makes more sense basically than specifying a port or whatever. If you want to do it the simple way. And we got connection. Good. Any Python developers here? I think I heard Python somewhere. A few. So Shade is a very good library. It's like the OpenStack client SDK basically. If you're a Python developer, you get this library and you can perform any cloud operation as you can do with the OpenStack client basically. Very simple, and uses the clouds.yaml as well. So you just instantiate your cloud and perform operations with it. It's really simple and nice to use, right? Yeah. Very good, yeah. So as I said, we instantiate which cloud we would like to consume resources from. We are using my Cloudbear cloud here, and As in the previous example, we need to be able to create a server. We need to know which image to base the server on, which flavor it should have, and which network to put the server on. And one thing, yes, pause here. That was good. One typical thing with shade is what you can see here, like auto IP and wait. That makes it even more simple for you. So you just tell shade or create server command to your cloud here that I would like to have an IP on this server. I don't care which one, I need a public IP, just give me one. And it will do it for you. So makes your life much easier. So we create so we are just waiting. I put the wait command in as well, and it will wait for SSH to be ready for the server to. So that was why it took some time. So, a very simple way to create a server using Python. Anyone here doing any DevOps stuff? Now I can lie. Good. All of these tools that you can see here are having good support for OpenStack. We here at City Network using Ansible a lot. We like that, and one of the reasons for that is since it's SSH based. So yeah, you don't have to install any clients on the remote machines or anything. It's very straightforward and easy to use. But if you're doing any kind of DevOps today, you are probably doing a lot of automations, and the main reason for that, I think, Magnus, is that we are very lazy people, technicians, right? So if we can automate something, let's do it, and we'll probably be safer to do it that way as well. So, last example, spinning up a server using Ansible, and we also would like to, in the same playbook, SSH into the machine when it's ready and install a very important package or software. So running the playbook, we first of all will create the server. This Ansible playbook is also using the clouds.yaml, so it's very easy to just specify in which cloud you would like to put your new resources. And the reason why this command right now is taking some time is because this has the same feature as shade, which by the way comes from the Ansible parts for OpenStack. So we're waiting for the server. We see it's created, it has an IP, so now we're just waiting for SSH to be available for us to be able to log in, install very important stuff, and ready, installing Python and copying the IP, and now I think we have installed the very important package as well. So hopefully we will have a server available and being working. Way. Works good. So, to summarize this, I think that OpenStack gives you a lot. It's very good for interoperability, have good support for any dev tools or DevOps tools that are out there, automation. You don't want to be vendor locked in, so to have these clouds.yaml, being able to choose or choose multiple locations to put your resources in is very good. And nowadays a lot of documentations as well, so it's very easy to find how to get things done and how to use OpenStack in a good way. And yeah, that was it for me. Thank you very much for listening.